What is going on with Bluebird Bio? These past 2 weeks have been one hell of a roller coaster ride, and I'm not sure if any of us longs even know what's going on anymore. But first, let's talk about what we do know, then we'll talk about what we don't know, and then we'll talk about what happens with Bluebird or where it goes from here. So first things first, what we do know for absolute truth is Bluebird has 2 approved gene therapies, Skysona and Zynteglo, that treat CALD, cerebral adrenoleukodystrophy, and beta thalassemia. They both cost $2.8 million and $3 million apiece, and the approvals came in August and September of 2022. Skysona and Zynteglo are built off of the LVV platform, which is the lentiviral vector platform. Now, we do know that Andrew Obenshain had made it perfectly clear they were gonna submit the BLA for Lovocell the first quarter of 2023, which really gives us just about 2 months left of first quarter 23. So within the next 8 weeks, they should have the BLA filed with the FDA. If you're a new investor in Blue, or you just got on after the price dropped and you don't really know what Lovocell is the gene therapy to treat sickle cell disease, which is going to be the #1 value driver and the #1 money maker for Bluebird Bio. Now, the FDA had previously granted Lovocell orphan drug designation, fast track designation, regenerative medicine advanced therapy designation, and rare pediatric disease designation. Now, Bluebird's financial status is a lot stronger now than it was even 3 months ago. On December 31st, 2022, Bluebird had stated that they had $182 million cash and $45 million in restricted cash. They'll stand to make approximately $120 million on the secondary offering that just had happened. Adding the $182 million, the $45 million in restricted cash, and the approximate $120 million from the 20 million share offering, that leaves Bluebird with approximately $347 million, which will give them enough cash runway to last until the fourth quarter of 2024. Is it going to be enough? We don't know, but we do know that they are going to start realizing profits from Zynteglo and Skysona first quarter of 2023. The first patients are under apheresis right now. They're actually treating their first patients. We'll be able to see that revenue in the 8K filing for the first quarter of 2023. So Bluebird had just hired Joseph Vitiglio as a chief business and legal officer, and they had hired Chris Kratchik as the new chief financial officer as well. So now what don't we know? Well, there's plenty. Let's start with the offering, the secondary offering. Why did they choose to use this offering? Originally filed in 2020. I'm not sure why they decided to use it now, right before the BLA filing, when they could have easily used it and probably used the cash more in spring of 2022 when they were teetering on bankruptcy. They could have really used that offering then. Instead, they chose to hold off and wait until now, where they could use it, but it's not going to save the company like it could have back in spring of last year. We also don't know who bought all 20 million shares. I know BlackRock had purchased shares that was released today during regular trading hours, but what about the other 19 million and something, couple 100,000 shares? Who bought those? We don't know. Was it one buyer? Was it multiple buyers, or did anybody buy them? We're not sure yet. We're waiting for that information to come out. Hopefully Bluebird stops dragging their feet and releases a press release letting us know that the offering has officially closed, and then we can start looking for the SEC filings showing who purchased how many shares. They'll have to file if they had purchased enough shares to give them a minimum of 5% ownership in Bluebird. Will Lovocell beat CRISPR to the market? We don't know. Do I think they will? Absolutely. Why? Because Bluebird has already got the FDA to approve 2 of their gene therapies that are built on the same platform, the LVV platform. Both of those gene therapies had went through advisory committee meetings. They were both unanimously voted on for approval. Lovocell is being built off the same platform, LVV platform. So I think the FDA will let the BLA go right through without scheduling an AdCom meeting. CRISPR, on the other hand, with Vertex, has no gene therapy approvals yet. I'm not saying they're not going to have one with Exocell, but I do think that they're going to have to go through an AdCom meeting, which is going to slow them down just a little bit. But if Bluebird wants to beat CRISPR to the market, they need to get that BLA filing like yesterday. They need to get it filed with the FDA as soon as possible, so that way they have the best chance to beat CRISPR to the market with Lovocell. Now, it's all speculation what Lovocell is going to cost. Nobody knows. Not even sure if Bluebird knows yet, but it's impossible to try and predict the future earnings or the revenue for Bluebird without knowing that, because Lovocell will absolutely be their number one value driver to this company. It's what's going to make this company the money. It's going to be the dairy cow to a dairy farm. That's what Lovocell is. If by chance, which I don't think it's going to happen, but if by chance Lovocell gets CRL'd from the FDA, Bluebird is just about as dead can be, because Integlo and Skysona will not be able to hold it up. Now, it is of my opinion that if a buyout, a partnership, a merger, or a licensing deal should happen with Bluebird before the approval of Lovocell, it'll come almost immediately after the BLA is filed. I think any company that out there that is reviewing Bluebird wants to see if the FDA accepts their BLA application. You can check this video out right here. I had posted it last week about my theory on the buyout, merger, acquisition, partnership, licensing deal argument. Now, this might be a biased opinion, but this is my opinion, and what we don't know is why Andrew Obenshain is the CEO of Bluebird Bio. I personally do not like him. I've made that perfectly clear in stock forums. I've made it clear on past videos that I had shot and posted. I think Andrew Obenshain is not an experienced CEO. He should not be leading a biotech company with the technology that Bluebird has. And that is clear if you listen to him in his conferences. He defers all questions to Richard Colvin, who is the chief medical officer, and I believe that he should be the CEO. I think Richard would be a great CEO for Bluebird. I think he's in love with the technology. It's going to be his pride and his joy, and I think he would lead Bluebird to eventually be a profitable company. Andrew is after his own personal interests, and I think he will single-handedly ruin Bluebird if they do not remove him from the CEO position immediately. He was in charge of their Europe operations, and they had pulled out of Europe because he could not secure any deals with any payers over there, which because of that, they had lost their approval with the European Medicines Agency. So now where does Bluebird go from here? Well, moving forward, we have nothing but positive catalysts left. They can't do another offering. They can't dilute us down any more than what they just had. So moving forward, we have a lot of good things to look for, starting with the BLA filing. That's going to be the very first catalyst coming up. That's going to be the biggest catalyst up until the FDA approval. But they have the BLA filing coming up, and then we get to look forward to their guidance and revenue from the first quarter of 2023, which will give us a better picture moving forward for the rest of the year with their cash burn rate. I know they said 300 million. I don't see how that's accurate, especially since they had stated in the last conference that it costs them almost nothing out of pocket to set up their qualified treatment centers except for the pay of the people. So I really don't think 300 million is going to be their true cash burn rate. Not sure why they had said that, but I look forward to seeing their future guidance in the first quarter revenue. Then we'll get a PR hopefully after the official closing of the secondary offering, the 20 million shares. That'll be another catalyst that might help the stock price a little bit. And then what I think will help the stock price a lot is, depending on who purchased those shares, when they start reporting to the SEC that they had purchased those shares, if they had purchased a minimum of 5% equity in Bluebird. But depending on who had purchased those, I think that'll really add some legs to Bluebird, and the stock price should start to return at least to the channel that we were stuck in before last week. And finally, the biggest catalyst of all, which should come around August, September-ish, somewhere in there, and that'll be the FDA's decision on Lovocell, whether it gets approved or it gets denied. Don't forget that they had a partial clinical hold on patients under 18 years of age for Lovocell. That was removed back in December of 2022. Now, that partial clinical hold was there for a year, and for an entire year the FDA had combed through all of their data, all of it. And if you don't know why they put partial clinical holds or just a clinical hold and why they remove them, look it up, Google it, read about it. They have to be able to prove that the treatment is effective and that the benefits outweigh the risks. So for them to remove that partial clinical hold, the data suggested and the FDA agreed that Lovocell is an effective therapy and it is safe. So now I know the stock price hasn't been doing what we wanted it to do. We've taken a beating. We've held 6 pretty good. I do think we continue to climb. We might get stuck in a channel between 675 to 775, that dollar channel. We're gonna need something that's gonna push us over 8. 8 is a very tough resistance point for this stock. We know that it took us weeks to bust through it, but I do think after the BLA is filed, that'll give us strong enough legs to push through 8, head up into the 9s. Not sure if it's gonna be good enough to get us to 10s. Before the dilution, I thought after the BLA filing, we would be somewhere around $11 to $13, but they had added $20 million to the float, or 20 million shares to the float, so that kind of hurts us a little bit. But post BLA filing, if we see $10, that'll be extraordinary. And after the FDA approval, which will come, there's no doubt in my mind, we're gonna see high teens, low 20s. Before the 20 million share offering, I had figured that Bluebird, after approval, would hit $48 a share. Now, if you want to know how I came to that price, look at this video here, and I go over all my numbers. Thanks for watching, and if you found any value in this, please hit that subscribe button below, turn on notifications. If you think I'm an idiot, tell me in the comment section below. Until next time, thanks for watching.